Welcome to Real Life Without Excuses. I am America's Supermom.
Yeah, I love how we had our own fall festival. Whenever,
oh yeah,
that was just too funny. That was fun.
Recognize who you are, what you'd like to see in your life, and who you'd like to partner with.
I love that. And, that's coming from a place of power.
She makes. I have written with women who have been through things I could not even imagine. You can tell the old story. Don't dwell on the old story because most of your friends are not trauma counselors.
Hello, everybody. So glad to see you guys today. Happy Tuesday. Life happens. Kind of crazy today. You guys, I just had to say, we had a snake in our house today. So I am just like a little on edge here. My daughters are like, Mom, I want to get out of the house, right? So it's crazy. That's what's going on in my world. We live out in the country, and I'm so grateful for my boys because my son was able to kill it before school. But, that's just not what I thought I was going to be waking up to today. But I'm excited about this conversation for today because we're talking about words and the power with aligning them with what it is that we want to achieve in life. So I'm excited to get into this conversation and kind of, dive into a different type of conversation and thought process and mindset in the midst of chaos that's going on around me. So I am LaChelle, also known as America's Supermom, mother of 15 children, and I'm a vitality coach that helps you to navigate through the chaos of everyday life and transform it into clarity and confidence with a smile. So I'm excited about today, and I'm going to yield the mic to you, Raschell. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Well, like you said earlier, a little bit of chaos going on both sides of the country here, but we're riding them like, surfer waves. Just, you gotta, right?
You just got to do that.
You got to do it. So I'm glad to see everybody showing up today. We've got Paul and Brumo. There's people coming into the room. So that's amazing. So my name is Raschell Harlingten. I am a transformational coach and also a podcaster of the Transformational Soul Talks. I like to really support people in sharing their stories, understanding how powerful their stories are, and how the empowerment can lead to the transformation. Really excited for today's show because you and I both know that your words are so powerful, and are you aligning them with what you want to see in your life? So that's a very powerful topic.
I love it. So we are going to dive right in. We have our other co-host, Misty, and she's having some technical difficulties. You got to love the internet and everything else that goes on with that and technology, which I know I am not good at all. So we are going to trudge along, but we are giving her a shout out, and I'm sure she'll be joining us when she can. So I'm going to bring up our lovely panel because I'm excited for the conversation. And I think an hour, we always say this, it's just not enough time, for us to really dive into a lot of these conversations. But we have really nurtured a great community. We have so many people that always join us in the comments, and so we welcome you to connect with everybody that is here on the show and take this conversation further beyond just watching us on screen. So I am going to bring our guest up, and we are going to get into this lovely conversation about words. And I think words are so powerful and important for us to think about when it comes to accomplishing our goals, how we want to show up, how we want to be seen in our industry or family, and just, I know we can go on and on about that. So I'm excited to start this conversation. So again, I want to tell everybody, I don't multitask the best. So if you are doing some comments, we're going to try to get to them when we can, but we're going to focus on what is going on right here with our guests that are here on the panel. So I think the first question is, how do we change our words? I think a lot of us can think about even aligning your words with your goals. When you think about that, what is the first thing you do to maybe change the words that you're using? How do you navigate through that? So you're nodding, RJ. So we're going to start with you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. I heard something last week that absolutely blew my mind on this subject.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody see Kevin Smith's video that he made about trauma last week?
Mm-hmm.
It's called Trauma is Trauma, and I think it's on like People Magazine's YouTube channel or something. But what he said was amazing to me, and that is that my brain processes my voice about 1,000 times better than it processes my thoughts. When I am telling my story out loud, making sure that I am painting a picture of hope, joy, a great journey, I'm the storyteller. It's in my hands. It's in my hands. And so am I doing everything to represent the truth truthfully? I mean, it ain't all been a bed of roses, I guess. But how can I use that to my advantage? How can I paint a hopeful picture and inspire people to go on a journey? That's it just blew my mind. I had to share that first.
Okay, so say that again. So your brain processes your voice faster than your thoughts.
Yes.
Wow.
So thoughts actually go faster. We have, I don't know how you count a thought, but I read an article that said 30,000 thoughts a day. I guess, I don't know. But there's a heck of a lot going on there. And just like when you show up to a class and you take notes, you're not catching everything, but you're catching the important part and processing that. It's your voice. It's the same thing. It takes a lot more brain power to engage all of this equipment than it does just to have a thought. So thoughts, real fast flowing, that's great. But when I talk about my story, when I talk about who I am, I reiterate who I want to be.
Love that. That's powerful. I love that. Does anybody else have anything they want to add to that? I mean, that was, I'm over here taking notes, y'all.
I want to add a little bit to that because, hi, everybody, I'm Heather Creswell, and it's great to be here with all of you. And there's a beautiful body of work by Nancy Klein. It's actually the work that I do use in my coaching, and it's called Think. And one of the things that I've observed over the years of working with people is that when you hear your own thoughts, it's very different when those thoughts are circulating in your brain. And so when you are able to hear those thoughts and have the space to be able to experience your next thought and your next thought as speaking out loud, amazing transformation can take place because you're literally hearing yourself tell that story. And I think the very first element of when we're wanting to change our words is we need to become aware of the words that we are currently using. And listening to ourselves speaking out loud is a really powerful way of becoming aware of not only the self-talk that happens inside our minds, but what is it that we're actually speaking out into the world. So yeah, I just wanted to add to that. And I love what you were saying about everything, the trauma and how you can reframe that and what are you speaking out into the world.
I love that.
I wanted to add something and using myself as an example. So I was talking to my coach and I was saying, I want to get more subscribers. And he said, what did you just say? He says, that sounds desperate. You want to attract. So sometimes you need to take a pause before you speak to make sure that you're using the right words.
I love that. Yeah, because I think, the words, it really shapes what our belief is, and like you said, there's certain energy that's attached to some of the words that we use that we don't realize. And then we're wondering, the battle is the behavior not matching what we want, but it's matching what we say. So I think that's good.
That's,
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's so important, because sometimes we'll say something, we'll say, I really would really encourage this to show up, or I really want to see this, but we have resistance in our words, meaning that we don't really believe what we're saying. And there's a bit of fear there. And so what we're asking for is not going to show up for us. Even though we're saying the words, it's because we have this fear. So it's learning to really, I like to say, be in that place of happiness or contentment, or when you're in a really good place, you're with family or a good friend, or you're walking your dog, somewhere where you feel really good. It's then you can really push those words out, because you're in a place of feeling abundant and prosperous. And that's when it'll really start to manifest for you. So being in that alignment is great, but also having the emotions of feeling good behind it is really important when you say those words. So I just wanted to add that in as well.
So, and the thing also, they say you should say affirmations, and they talk about fake it till you make it. And I don't think that's really good, because you're saying some of these words, right? And the right emotion is not there because you don't believe it. So it makes it so difficult to be in alignment and to attract what it is you want. So the affirmations you use are important.
I think that's important. Now, so how do you get to the point, this is for everybody, where you work on your belief while you're saying something that you don't believe? So like, for example, you're starting out learning to play the piano, and your teacher is like, oh, by the end of this semester, you're going to be able to play whatever. And you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't think I can do that. So how do you take that journey where you're being truthful about these things, but just building your confidence along the way? What would you say to that? Oh,
I would say, if I can jump in, because I actually wrote a book about the brain. And so I really like the thought of the brain. I spent a couple of years of researching on the subject, and I interviewed neuroscientists that made a lot of discoveries all over the world. And one thing what research shows, that actually if you say affirmation that you do not believe in, they hurt you. They're not good. So it's really important to say what sounds feasible. It might not be like there yet, but let's say you are learning the piano. Let's take the piano. You'll say, I am learning piano, like I am in a progress, because that's something you can actually believe in. But if you're going to tell yourself, I'm awesome at piano, you're actually like making this clash with your brain beliefs, like your inner brain actually really, like the other voice inside you're going to say like, that's not true. You suck at piano. You don't play good. But you can definitely say, I am learning. I'm making progress. And I want to train, I want to. So in order for you to actually align with those thoughts, it's really important that you stay within the truth that's true to you. And this is one way to do it. And if I can may just want to quickly add back to what we thought, like thoughts and voice. I spent quite a bit of research on trying to find out where the thoughts come from. And really, there is absolutely no answer. Like science just does not have an answer where if the thought is generated in your head, if it's an idea that is just floating through the universe and somehow enters your brain and plays a little bit with your neurons and then makes something and then it just floats away. So you're not necessarily in charge of the thoughts that we all know that are entering your head, but whatever the words you say, you are in charge of. So that's actually actively making a choice what you say. So it's really important that what we say, it's we understand that it's active, and then we understand that it's something that we can within us, inside us, believe in.
Love that. That's good. Now, what are your thoughts, April?
So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about the entire connection that has gone across every comment. And the first question I would throw out there is, has anyone on the call ever read the book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind? It is by Joseph Murphy, and it literally speaks to what we put in our mind and truly believing. And I come from a religious background where we're taught that there's the power of the tongue. So if you are speaking that negativity, you are manifesting the negativity. If you're speaking the positivity, then you're going to manifest that. However, often we get so caught up in what we have not accomplished that we forget to look back at what we did accomplish and celebrate those small things. When we can look at those small things that we've accomplished and put focus and energy there, then it gives us enough, just enough, that little mustard seed to keep going and make one extra step. Because this is not about winning, this is about getting to the finish line. And sometimes to get to the finish line, you have to have the mindset of an engineer, which is to have a reverse mentality. So you reverse engineering is starting with the end in mind and working backwards. So if you're constantly looking at where you're gonna land, you're gonna have that drive and that momentum to continue to do the work to get there, even if it's just one little step at a time.
Love that. That was awesome. So that was The Power of the Subconscious Mind, was that book?
Yes,
by
Joseph Murphy.
Okay, love that. So Mistilei, we see you're here. Not sure if you can talk. So let's see if you can.
Hi, I don't know what's going on. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll talk, and then when it goes away, I'll be done. I'm Mistilei, Campground TBD Publishing. I love this topic, so I just was frustrated that I couldn't get in because I write books and teach quantum writing, which is what you just talked about, April. Journaling into the future you do want, past your perceived limitations. And so I'm not even sure what the question was, but just based on her answer, I love that thought and that flow, because I that's exactly my process. Once upon a time, in the very near future, all my problems were disappeared. And then I thank you guys. I'm sure I'm going to be off and on.
Oh, did we lose her again?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Gotta love it. So I think this is a good conversation because everybody here, all the panel guests, have some great goals about the things that they want to accomplish in their business and just dreaming big, so when we're thinking about aligning our words and where we're headed, what are some practical things that we can practice, because we have people that are in the audience that may be thinking, hey, I want to dream big too. I know O has a dream about diapers, right? So share a little bit about how big your goal is and what are some tips that you could share with everybody on how to craft that goal in a way that we can be successful with the words that we say.
I want to add something before we get into that. And it's piggybacking on what April said, like focusing on what is going right. So gratitude is this big word that I say you must do. And I usually have a problem with phrases that are overused that everybody is talking about. It rubs me the wrong way. So I was taking a course and the leader talked about magical moments. So I bought a lovely journal and he says each day, write down the magic that happened today. And for some reason that resonates with me. I talk about looking outside my window and seeing the Toronto waterfront. Nature is magical. And it's not hard for me throughout the day to come up with 10 magical moments. It could be a kid smiling and playing. And that makes a difference for me. That resonates more with me than listing 10 things I'm grateful for.
Love that. That's good.
yes, I wanted to share that.
That's awesome. I think that is so good. That's one of the things about this conversation is when we bring all of our different perspectives, other people can see that there is an abundance, one of different ideas. What works for one person may not work for another, but we can all share something and people can craft what works for them. And I think, because we can get on a soapbox about all the negative things that are going on, all the problems, but we never really get on a soapbox about the different positive things that we could do or implement and things like that. So I'm excited to hear everybody's stance on that. So we'll go over to you, O, and think about you share your goal and what are some things that you do to kind of get that alignment right?
I'm sorry. I wasn't sure. Was it to me?
Uh-huh.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. Missed that. Hi. My goals right now, I'm a little bit switching to tiny bit or narrowing down the focus, what was my focus on my work for past quite a few years, where I was focusing on a human body and capability we have. And actually the words, as we talk about, they make tremendous impact. When I first started to dealing with like human health, how you are doing and everything, I was like, okay, you gotta eat, you gotta exercise, you gotta sleep. And that's all true. But in the end of the day, the highest impact on how you are doing is going to be how you're feeling. And it will beat your longevity will far more depend on how you make feel people around you and people around you make feel you. And it doesn't matter whether you're married or no, but it does matter if you're with a spouse, if that's the person who's going to be the most influential to your life, right? And so anyway, so I focused on this and I came to this conclusion. And last year I had, when I turned 46, I had a lovely baby girl born. And that really narrowed down my focus huge, because all of a sudden I had this emerged tiny human being in my life. And this new body that I was able to try to align with, which is a lot of the part of my work, is really aligning with my body, but also when I was coaching or writing books, with the body of the person I was working with, to understand what is their need, what is their body's need, really not their need, like what the body really craves for. And so when I had this baby girl, I've discovered actually ancient, something that's existed for a long time, but disappeared with the diaper companies, which was her ability since she was little, since she was actually newborn, to not to want to poop or pee herself. And so I learned this technique where you come to this communicating the elimination needs with your baby. And I was absolutely stunned. I was absolutely just dumbfounded, going like, babies can be born and they don't want to poop in the diapers. We actually make them do that. We make them wear a toilet around themselves, and they actually can use diapers only as a backups and not really be solely dependent on it. And because she never wanted to poop herself, it was very easy for us to do cloth diapers. And I realized wow, I'm saving. And after a small research, you go 10,000 diapers per baby that goes into the world, ends up in a landfill, and 10,000 diapers per each single child. And then, then it's going to lay there for somewhere between 400 to 600 years. So I got on this big mission to try to bring moms this beautiful communication with your newborn. And it's by far the only communication you have with the newborn, other than them crying for being hungry. But this is something you can actually do as a teamwork. And then there is a huge, tremendous bond that is being built. And that, aside of helping the earth, was one thing that just got me almost upset at the diaper companies, because I felt we were being robbed as mom. The bond is so beautiful and it's so strong and it's just so amazing that I felt I absolutely cannot not tell other moms, because if you make that choice and you want to wait 3 years till your baby's potty trained fully out of diapers, well, with this technique, the baby's usually out of diapers completely when they start walking, where they can actually like run up to their little potty or something, because as a small little human body needs to pee probably every, starts at like every 15-30 minutes. So obviously you're not like going completely without diapers right away, but like you're reducing right away for a huge amount, and very soon like they are actually completely diaper free. But I want to be able to give moms and parents, invariably this is a bond that even fathers can create with their children, but I want them to have at least a choice, informative choice. Just like imagine if we were not told you can breastfeed and all children were put on a bottle immediately. And then you realize like, oh, wow, I have this like thing that I can feed my child. And this is kind of the same thing about their potting needs. And so I found that there is very few things where you make like such a small thing in a world. And this is such a beautiful thing. It's not hard. It doesn't even take, like, you have to do some activity with your children anyway, with your baby anyway. And so it's not harder than I find. I'm a single mom, and I find it easier than if I had to like use wet wipes and deal with a diaper rash, because if they poop themselves, then you have the diaper rash, and there is so much that happens. And I found there is so few things in the world. When you make a tiny thing, the ripple effect is so huge. And so when a mom is able to do this, the ripple effect of this beautiful bond of not soiling the landfills with diapers, of giving the child the dignity that they were born with. And to me, as a person who taught people before, like when I was coaching, the relationship we have our body, I feel like that's the first relationship the child have, and we take it, like we literally rip it away from them. And then like when I speak with my clients, even if they're in 70s and we find whatever is the issues they have, every single time we end up in something in their childhood. Always there is this connection that breaks what we like create, our connection of us, the soul, the innate who we are with our body starts somewhere in the childhood. And this I feel is like the very first one, and it does not feel right that we like take it away. And because diaper companies, obviously they make billions of dollars, so they don't want us to know. They're happy if the children start potty training when they're 3 years old. Now you can go in a corner of any store and have diapers that are for 5 years old, which is mind-blowing to me. And we absolutely don't need it, and babies don't need it, and they don't even want it, and it makes them so much happier. So that's kind of what where I am right now. So I'm on this big mission that I'm like really hoping to bring this beautiful connection and save the earth, if I may, or help like come to it. And not myself, but obviously I do need a tribe. I need a tribe of so many parents that want to come on board with this, because this is not something I can do alone, but I know for a fact that it is absolutely doable if we all get together to like imagine preventing millions of diapers out of landfill, and the world these little babies, these children will inherit, that we can actually truly make that world a better place for them, and make their childhood better, and make our experience as mom better, and get all that oxytocin that comes with it, and combat, the baby blues that moms have when babies are born. Like I said, very few things I found in life that would have the level of ripple effect that this is. So thank you for listening to this. This was amazing. I'm very honored to have the chance to actually say it out. So I'm hoping I'll get a bunch of parents come on board with this.
Love that.
I just created a course to make it super easy with like lessons that are like 5 minutes each. Each lesson is just super short, because I know moms are busy. I know they don't really have much time, but it's so easy. And most of the babies just I've learned that when my baby was 6 weeks old, and she hasn't been pooping in the diapers since she was 6 weeks old, and very rarely, on very rare occasion. And so now we're 11 months and almost ready. When she starts walking, we're taking diapers away completely.
That's amazing. And I think we have trailblazers with a lot of things that a lot of us can't even imagine happening. So I love that you have such a big goal. And words matter, because when you are a trailblazer doing something that a lot of people don't necessarily believe because of something that they've been conditioned to do, it's you have to have the right words to keep you inspired and motivated. So we're going to go over to Heather. Heather, what are your thoughts about your goal? What's your goal, and how do you keep things in alignment with your words?
So my goal at the moment, I'm busy consulting to a nonprofit here it's based in South Africa and in the USA. And we are manufacturing a highly nutritious instant energy meal that gives children aged 6 months to 6 years 85% of their daily nutritional requirement. And so I've aligned with that business. I'm busy coaching them and working with them. But what we want to do is I want to raise $1 million, because that will help us make some big inroads in feeding hungry children, both in America and in Africa. And so that's my big goal. And I think that when I'm working with goals, I think just to pick up on what April was saying, we always have to be aware and looking at what's going on in our unconscious and do our best to bring that into our consciousness. So looking at, if we've got patterns of scarcity, if we've got patterns of abandonment, if we've got people who told us that we were never going to make it or we weren't good enough, when we were young, those patterns are sitting in our unconscious. And so as a personal transformation and entrepreneur and leadership coach, the work that I do is looking at bringing those patterns up into our consciousness so that we can really start to work with them and transform them. And I think that with the new neuroscience, we can really see that our energy and our emotion makes the biggest change in terms of us being able to manifest. Because we can write a vision, and if it doesn't touch our hearts, if it doesn't resonate with us at a deep and very profound level, it's going to just be a nice idea. It's unlikely that we're going to actually manifest that. And I'll just give an example from my own life very quickly. Last year, when I kind of got this calling or this vision that part of what I needed to add to the work that I was doing was feeding hungry children, I went to one of my Circle of Excellence conferences. We're a group of entrepreneurs, global entrepreneurs that meet regularly. And one of the guys there said to me, how's your coaching business going? How's your speaking business going? And I immediately just started speaking to him about feeding the children. And to me, I'm not exactly the right person for you to speak to. And that was how I connected with the bowl. And I think when your energy is right and you are deeply connected to that passion and to that sense of purpose, and you're speaking that out into the world, that was what I was speaking about, this passion and this energy that I now have, then that's when we start to have those beautiful synchronicities and miracles that start to happen, where the path starts to open up. It's not always easy, but where the path starts to open up, and if we just start to take those steps in those directions, we get led down, down the path towards our vision and towards our goal. But if we are coming from a place of lack within ourselves, I think, Avril, you touched on it, and you as well, Raschell, if we're coming from a place of lack within ourselves, we are unhappy and we think that something external to ourselves is going to give us fulfillment, we're always going to be chasing something. We're never going to be happy, because the minute we get that thing, we'll be happy for a short period of time, and then there'll be something else, because we're continuously coming from that place of lack. So if we can bring that sense of gratitude, magic moments, whatever we do every day, to align our energy with a sense of abundance, with a sense of possibility and hope, and we speak that, then from what I've seen in the work that I do with my clients, then we can really manifest the most incredible opportunities. So yeah, wanting to feed hungry children. I think it's we're on the brink of losing a generation, and that for me is it's heartbreaking.
Love that. I mean, I'm loving these goals. This is amazing, because when you say them out loud, it's like, wow, this is possible. People hearing you, they believe it for you too. So, April, what's your goal, and how are you keeping it in alignment?
So I come from a risk environment. So everything I talk about and I align with all the way to vacations, I'm always in the mindset of risk and how much risk we're taking on. Am I getting the return, or is this a greater risk? So I'm really, and I do a lot of cyber liability. And I think I heard you speak of someone else on this call too that does cyber, but my ultimate goal is to get business leaders to really think about risk in a different light than they have ever done before. I come from an environment where if something was wrong, we would shake hands, we would make it right, and we would move on. Those days, unfortunately, are no longer here. And I've been in such an environment where I've seen really people just trying to help. There was nothing malicious about anything that they were doing or trying to bring harm to anyone, but we've just come into a litigious society. And unfortunately, to see what it's like to have an individual personally named in a litigation for something that they are not trying to bring harm and be intentional about, it's devastating to watch that, because many people don't understand it's not just the act of the litigation, it's the impact that it has and that it carries on the heart, mind, and the soul, and that transfers over to family members. And what I try to do is get people to think about, what does it look like to be proactive? What does it look like to make decisions in such a way that you're thinking about all aspects? Because we get excited in our business ventures and our journeys, which we should, but we have to pause for a minute and we have to think about, what are those things? If I go down, I have 3 avenues I can go. I have the left, the middle, and the right. If I go down this one, what is it going to bring? And what are the ramifications of that? If I choose to go here, doesn't mean you don't go. It means, what steps are you going to take to help get you there, and not get you 10 steps forward just to fall 20 back, because we don't proactively think about where we're going. Imagine utilizing attorneys proactively versus reactively. That would literally change the game. So when we think about cyber, just thinking about basic things from your safety to your financial harm, and how do I bring all those things together to business leaders to break it down and give them that opportunity to not say don't do it. This is not about a do or don't do. This is about, how do we create a journey and a pathway that will allow you to move forward and still align with the ultimate goal. And part of that, I believe, with any business leader, and I just think regardless of what you do and the career path that you're taking, you have to know who you are as a person, and you have to be real with who you are as a person. And if you're not, it's called peeling back the onion, getting to the core. And when you can pull back that onion and get to the core of who you are, you have a better chance at the success. When we talk about mindset, how much of this is mindset? 95% of it is probably mindset and being able to shift. Sometimes we like to look in the mirror and say, hey, I'm good. It's not me, it's you. But honestly, are we able to be self? And we can get to the point where we can be critical of self, and we can recognize our strengths as well as our weaknesses. then we have a shot at moving the needle forward and not just kicking the can down the road.
Love that. That was good. I love that whole thing about being proactive, and one of the things like you're saying with the risk is, if we're not honest with ourselves, that risk is not even going to be beneficial. If you are not going to be writing down or taking a look at what you don't know or what you're not good at, you can have some faulty risk in your whole outlook. So I love that whole thing about knowing who you are and how to show up. So that's amazing. And about being proactive. I was listening to this lady and she was saying that the greatest struggle is right before you make a decision. You're thinking, should it be red? Should it be blue? And she said that's where the struggle is. Once you make a decision, you own it and you keep it moving. So if we could do things to be proactive to get out of that whole, struggle with decision making, then we'll be in a better place. So RJ, over to you. What are your goals, your thoughts?
Well, so many, but the main one is this. I want to create a legacy behind myself. I want to have a legacy like Bob Ross does. Remember Bob Ross, everyone? Yes. The painter, the guy who stood seriously in a living room covered with black curtains and taught tens of thousands of people how to paint. And he wasn't even teaching them how to paint. He was teaching them how to pick up a brush, believe in yourself enough to try. The thing that I want to teach everyone within the sound of my voice is not painting. I'm not that good at that. But what I am good at is I want to present the idea to everyone, but especially heart-driven coaches, that you can produce marketing and outreach that aligns with who you are and who you want to be. You can never again hit send on an email you're not excited about. You can not pay big IT companies huge amounts of money for ads that no one will ever see. You can do it entirely differently. And when people are able to do that, I believe that they will reach out to others and teach them. I think it's the most, I think one of the things that sets us back so much is that we take part in activities that are literally emotional vampires. There have been days in my life that writing an email is an emotional vampire. God, do I have to do this thing again? But I'm here to tell you, there are ways and means out there that you can do your marketing that make you excited and make you joyful. And the other question that you asked is, what do you do to kind of fill your own gas tank? So I want to answer that as well. What I do is an exercise every morning, and it's called Engage One. So the meaning behind that is most of the time, as coaches, I'm a coach, so as coaches, we're trying to, engage with other people and get them our message. I think that we actually have that turned around. If I'm not excited in here, it doesn't matter what kind of a megaphone I have in front of my mouth. If I'm not excited about it, it doesn't matter. So I start off every morning with an exercise. It's called Engage One. Engage right here before I try to engage out there. And I write down what I'm excited about doing and why I'm excited about doing it. And that's kind of a future journaling thing, as someone was saying earlier as well. It's a beautiful exercise. It takes about 5 minutes, and all you have to do is write down what you're excited about. And that's what I want to share today.
Love that. That is so good. And share with everybody your goggles, what that means, because I'm sure people are like, why does she have that on?
Why don't you all have capes on? That's what I want to know.
I got one. Look, I told you I was getting one for our interview.
That's so beautiful. The story behind the cape and goggles, and this is really short, but I went to an event. The lady said, my friend said it was going to be a superhero event. And so I was teasing her and I said, if it's going to be a superhero event, I will be wearing a cape. And she said, you bleep, well, better do that, RJ Redden. And I showed up wearing a cape. Was anybody else dressed up? No, they were not. They were not. Nobody else at this event was dressed up, but I'd been dared, so I had to do it. And what I found out over the length of that, it was just a weekend-long event. But what I found out is that I didn't have to try to leap out of my shell, because I actually sort of at the time was an introverted sort of human being. I didn't have to leap out of my shell and talk to anyone. They came to me. They all came to me and asked me about the cape and the goggles. And it was such a transformative experience, because nobody expects even a rational conversation from a cape and goggle person. So you can screw that thing up as much as you want to. You will be totally fine. So what I learned eventually is that this is no costume. That when I put on the cape and goggles, it is not to cover up who I am. It is to reveal who I am. A little bit crazy, but a whole lot of fun.
I love that.
Love that.
I think that's great. Amazing.
That was awesome. Okay, so we're over to you, Avil. Please share your goals and, what's your formula? What are your thoughts?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about one of my goals. And I have an accountability partner. And we agreed that we were going to write a book every quarter. Now, my accountability partner is in South Africa. So they have they have what's called load shedding. So there's lots of power cuts and stuff. So that made it extremely difficult. So we had times when we were supposed to write. So I said to myself, something? It's on me. It's my goal as well. I'm taking ownership. The agreement is that we write a book every quarter. So even though we were scheduled to write for like 4 hours on a Saturday, I decided I'm going to write every day. So I was writing a chapter every day. And something? I came in 2 weeks early in the quarter with my first book. And now I'm on the second one. So it's realizing that you're responsible for achieving your goals, even if you have an accountability partner. So you break down your goals into activities that you can manage. All the books I'm writing are short because it would go against some of the things I teach if it were too long. So I break it down, and every day I do something, so it's not overwhelming. And one of the things I've found is that when I write things down, I can also see them, and I do it in manageable portions. I'll achieve what I set out to achieve. And the second book will be out within the time frame, because I just bite off a little bit at a time and I just keep on going.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so that Heather's in South Africa. So that's amazing. So Raschell, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Oh, great. No problem. I was like, where are we going? Actually, there was a great question that was posed by someone, I think it was Paul in the audience. And he said, so I was hoping to pose that to our panel, was he was curious, who is the most impactful person you've met in your life, and what was the most valuable lesson they taught you? So we can start. I'm on a phone, so I'm kind of trying to say, we'll start with Heather at the top there. If I can see that. Yeah.
Did you say Heather? I didn't hear Raschell. So I think having been in South Africa during our period of transformation, coming out of apartheid, which was just, devastating, Nelson Mandela has, and I mean, he's such a well-known public figure, and I don't want it to sound like a cliche, but he has actually been one of my most inspiring mentors, because I think to be able to come out of prison, out of the way that he was treated, and embrace every single South African with an open heart, with a complete heart full of forgiveness, a heart full of love. I think he's just the most inspiring person I've ever met, and had the privilege of living in South Africa with him as our leader. And I've just learned so much from him about when we really are willing to let go of our baggage. We're no longer willing to be defined by our past, the things that have happened to us. Then we can create, what we would then call, being called as a rainbow nation. And I think all of us have the potential to do that. And so that's what I've tried to do every day of my life.
Wow. That's very powerful.
Great question. Yeah, thank you.
Over to you, April.
Wow. It's funny because I don't know this individual. I just remember meeting this lady when I was a little girl, and I used to walk with my head down all the time. And she walked up to me and she stopped me, and she lifted my head up and she looked me in the eye, and she said, "From this day forward, I don't ever want you to walk with your head down. I need you to walk with your head up, your shoulders squared back with pride and confidence." And I remember her like yesterday. I don't know who she is, so I don't know.
Wow.
Wow.
Give you the name
that is beautiful.
Stuck me, and it's with me. And I'm well into my 50s, so I can tell you it's been many, many years ago. I just wish I knew who she was.
Fairy godmother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over to you, RJ.
Oh, well, this is a little cheesy, so but I'm sure you'll live through it. The person that has most inspired me in my life is my wife. Hands down, the woman teaches me constantly about who I want to be when I grow up, which I might not at this rate, but I think the most valuable lesson that she has ever given me is to take people less seriously. I'm a huge heart person, empathy. I will hug you right across this Zoom. I will, and I let things get to me very easily. And that's a tough consequence. She helps me every day walk through. Let's leave that behind and get back on the path. So I'm very, very inspired by my wife, who is not watching. There's absolutely no chance. So that's good, because she hates it when I mention her online.
We'll have to send her the replay.
I'm going to hide this replay from her.
That's great. Over to you, O.
So my person probably would be, didn't meet him personally, but I've done lots of seminars, is Tony Robbins. That affected so many people. I do a lot of his seminars. I do have his coach. So I am coached by Tony Robbins, result coach. And the biggest thing, it's probably, it kind of goes to what we have here. It's the progress. The happiness is in progress. You can achieve your goal, and you achieve your, I once had a goal to write a book, and I achieved it. I was super happy. I was stoked. Made, state bestseller for 2 years. Then I wrote another book, but like, you finished it and it kind of goes down. And so in order for us to stay happy, you have to grow. You have to have a progress. It's really the destination. It's kind of just the cherry on the top, but you have to keep going. And so that to have the progress. And from his coach, who coaches me personally, whenever, because I have so much, I do have a 16-year-old, and then I have a baby, and, juggling both, and being completely single mom. I'm in charge of my children 100% of the time. They don't go to their dads. I have a house, I have a yard, I have everything, and everything is on me. And I'm a foreigner in this country, so I don't have a family. I moved, I had no friends. So all that is on me. And sometimes it can feel like a lot to just tread water. But if you just tread water, you will not be happy. You have to make that progress. And so it's really important for me to be driven by my mission, which is now to prevent 100 million diapers out of landfill, which gives me the little extra boost. And my coach, he always says, like, whenever I go down, like, and I ingrained it in my brain. He always says, action is the antidote.
Wow.
And action, and whenever it doesn't matter what it is, like I can go, like I would sit down and like I don't even have like much TV, like I canceled Netflix and things because I don't have a time to watch it. But like if I would like go down and like do something kind of like, you just go like, okay, I'll do it later or something, and you feel like that, and like it became such a thing that in my head it's this little voice that just keeps going back and forth. Action is the antidote. Action is the antidote. And so it actually makes me disturbed with inaction. And I get upset with my own inaction. Enough that like I go, okay, I need rest, and the rest needs to be planned because I do need that rest. We all need rest, but the rest needs to be something that I schedule because that then gives me the energy to later do more and know more. So that would be probably, so, you know, Tony Robbins, all his teachings, and the progress and action is the antidote.
That's a powerful word, action. A very powerful word. Thank you. Over to you, Avil.
If I'm to think about people who have inspired me, I think I get a lot of my inspiration from books, not so much people, but the person who inspired me, I have to say it was my mom, because she taught us about resourcefulness. I was born in a developing country, and you know, we didn't have all of the things that I have access to in North America. So how do you use what you have to get what you need and to get to where you need to go? So I find that even though I'm here, because of that background, I learned to be resourceful.
That's great.
Wow. That's important. Resourcefulness, actions, you know, all those things are really important when you're looking to really move through in life. So I think as we get close to the time here, if everyone wants to go around and share your last thoughts on anything you'd like to share and where we can find you. We can start with, let's see, we'll start at the bottom there with April. At least on my screen, it's April.
Well, I like to leave people with a parting thought that no matter what we come up against, we're in different times. And we have to change mindset. We have to be cognizant of the people around us. Please be kind. You never know how you're going to impact someone. It could be something as simple as a smile. Do your best to stay strong out here and know that at the end of the day, we all can walk this together. I'm on LinkedIn. I am in the midst of transition, so I'm just going to tell you guys to find me on LinkedIn. I'd love to connect with each and every one of you, and I enjoyed being on this panel with each of you today.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. Over to you, RJ.
Well, what I would love to leave people with is just something that I try to remember every day, and it's that no matter what, no matter who you are, you're enough right now. You're enough right now. Sure, there's room for improvement. We all have room for improvement, but you are equal to the tasks you're setting yourself. You can find me, of course, on LinkedIn. I haunt LinkedIn like it's a big old haunted house, and it's always Halloween. Also, come join my community. It's free. It's fabulous. WeKickBot.com.
Okay. Thank you so much. Over to you, Heather.
Well, I named my business the Alchemy Academy because I believe that for each and every single one of us, no matter what we've been through, we can take all of our experiences, whether they've been positive, negative, traumatic, and turn them into gold. And that You know, one of my mentors over the years has said, and I know that it goes right back to a Sufi saying, that you are the gold that you see. And so the mirror, and instead of looking outside of yourself, rather look in the mirror or look inwards to find that gold, because you are it. I can be found on LinkedIn. I'm also in transition at the moment, but my website is heathercreswell.com. But LinkedIn's probably the best place. Yes, I'd also love to connect with all of you and look forward to meeting and chatting with all of you again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Heather. And over to you, O.
So I would share one thing that I was gonna say, like, I do daily, but I don't do it daily because I do it when I'm in a shower. It's my little prayer in a shower, and I don't have a time for a shower every single day, sadly. But it's that's whenever I'm in a shower, I make myself one single sentence that says, "Please help me to bring the best out of others and myself. And if I cannot bring the best out of myself today, help me to bring the best out of others." And that has been so transformative. Like when I literally focus on bringing best out of other people, it really transforms me and transforms the life around me and anyone. So I wish people could do that. And if anybody wants to connect, if you have babies, upcoming babies, baby showers, somebody who knows is going to have a baby, you want to give them like the coolest gift, or you want to learn more about, you can find me. My website's just my name, otakarakletsky.com, or I'm mostly on Facebook because moms are more on Facebook. I am on LinkedIn, but they're not that much because they're usually at home busy with babies. So if you like kids, or if you like wilderness, because I'm a huge wilderness junkie, I'll take my baby. I'm always out in the wild and in nature, and I share a lot about it too. So then please come meet me in my world as well.
Oh, thank you so much. That's amazing. And finally, over to you, Avil. Any last words?
So, like, I'm being called to say something. So we don't know who is going to listen to the replay. And if you're going through a tough time, just remember that this too shall pass. Nothing lasts forever, not even our troubles. So I hope you get some hope in that. And I guess the easiest place to find me is LinkedIn.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Right. Back over to you, LaChelle.
This has been wonderful. I'm so excited to have lots of notes over here. You know, I think that's one of the things about conversation is having a moment to really focus and have intentional ideas around a topic. You know, I think if we just sat with ourselves for about 5 minutes, we probably sometimes can't even write a sentence because so many different thoughts are coming to our head. But when you are able to have focused conversation, you can really go deeper into a topic, and you can grab out some things that you can implement immediately that can help you to grow and to keep on moving forward. So thank you, ladies, so much for all the input and insight that you shared. And I want to give a shout out to Paul, who has kind of been our host in the wings from the screen. So you guys definitely want to connect with him. He is very, very connected and very engaged. We have Mary Baker, who was here. Camille, she's on vacation and she popped in, and a number of other people. So we just thank you guys. Aaron was here also. So definitely reach out to them, because this is a great opportunity to just keep that conversation moving. So thank you, ladies, so much for being here, and looking forward to connecting with y'all again soon. So we have our co-host, who she is had technical difficulties, so we weren't able to have her with us. But we do want to give a shout out to
Mistilei. She was in the comments.
Yeah, she was in the comments. And let me see. I have one of our books here. I don't know if I showed it last week, but you know, since she's not here, this is Now What? This is a group project that we did. And then I have our other book.
Oh,
I don't know. It's around here somewhere. My desk is a mess, y'all. So I'm being exposed. But anyway, we want to thank everybody for being here. So the question Paul wanted you to answer about who has impacted your life and what did they teach you?
For me, oh gosh, there's been a lot of people that have impacted my life, but I think if there was one person that really shifted me, I think it would actually have to be she was actually my very first coach. And I'm going to say a big shout out to Lynn Crocker. So if she's listening in Australia, she was the first person who, when I was going through craziness in my life, said, I'm going to support you. I'd like to help you with your coach. And she really sort of got me on this path. And that was way back in 2014. And it was all uphill after that in a beautiful way, though. Right. So yeah, she was very impactful because she gave me the belief in myself that I didn't have before. So
love that. I think for me, it would be my maternal grandmother. So she was the mother of 12 children. And she had them all back to back. And I think, you know, I really didn't realize this till later, but I would always say, you know, my grandmother would talk to me like I was her age, but it just kind of revealed to me one day that she made things simple so that even I could understand them. So for me, I thought that was really profound. So she just had this way of imparting wisdom where it wasn't like she was trying to tell you what to do or anything like that. It was just so matter of fact. It was so simple. And for me, that really was inspiring. You know, it helps me to be able to relate to my own kids and everybody else's kids, my husband and everybody else. But that would be my answer. But this was really a great conversation. So what do you have coming up this week?
This week I have a release of one of my podcasts. And I think this week, yeah, one of the podcasts, a beautiful lady from, originally from Canada. I think she now lives in LA. Big shout out to Debbie Dashnier, who's a podcaster in LA, who introduced me to her. So that's on Wednesday. The rest of the week, I'm just working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes, adding more episodes to the TV show. So we'll see how it goes. What about for you?
Love that. I do have a master class that I'm collaborating with the Mom Link on. So we're going to be talking about leveraging your connections, how to network and things like that. So that's Thursday at 7 p.m. But I also have the LinkedIn audio room at 9 a.m. on Thursdays.
Yes, I will be there again.
10 scrolls. I love it. It's been a great experience. So I'm just glad I have a 26-year-old that wants to be around me, right? That's my co-host age.
That's amazing.
So I'm like, hey, I'll take it. I'm excited. Okay?
Exactly. There you go.
But well, thank you guys so much. Mistilei, she released her book. She's still working on another one. I think it's My 2 Cents. So if you guys want to collaborate on that, you can reach out to her because she is actively looking for collaborating authors, and it's called My 2 Cents. Is it on self-love or something like that?
Something like that. And it's a great experience because you know what? You're going to collaborate with other people on it as an anthology, and you're going to meet so many amazing authors. And just the connections, and you and I know this both well, just the connections itself will support you so much. Really
so much. Yeah. So, well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. And we encourage you to reach out to all of our guests that were here. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week. And reach out to us if you want to be on the panel. If you have a burning question that you want us to ask of everybody, just reach out to us. We would love to have you. So thank you guys so much. See you later.